Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at the brand new Community Day move that was just given to Primeape, and that is Rage Fist. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Smudgy B, so many thanks for the battle submission. Rage Fist has the same stats as Night Slash, 50 damage, 35 energy, but it's a ghost type move that gives a guaranteed attack boost every time it's thrown. This move was given to both Annihilape and Primeape, but today we're taking a look at Primeape, which is shot all the way up to number 2 on the PvPoke Great League rankings. So without further ado, let's hop onto the matches, and let's take a first look at Rage Fist Primeape in the Open Great League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a positive lead, leading the Sludge Bomb Clodsire into Azumarill. Now this is why Clodsire likes to run Sludge Bomb, for that extra coverage into the fairy types. Azumarill throws the Ice Beam instantly, and that does give a free Poisonous Sting to the Clodsire. Opponent now going to save switch into Dugong, and Dugong will swiftly be answered with the Primeape. Primeape going to be committing the shield. Primeape does have the exact same pacing as Pangoro, so it's straight 5 to close combat, and then straight forward to Rage Fist. Close combat is going to connect, and down goes Dugong. So now this Primeape is going to be met with the Azumarill. Previously, Primeape with Night Slash in close combat was walled here, but now it has Rage Fist. It can start boosting up its damage more and more in this matchup, and undoing that debuff from the Icy Wind. Opponent is going to commit the shield. They play to a CMP tie that they do not win. Annihilape, Rage Fist, KOs. It's now heavily boosted. In comes Dunsparce. And this poor opponent is just getting torn to shreds by Primeape. Primeape grabs a shield with another Rage Fist. And from here, this is a very quick cleanup for the Feraligatr in the back. Feraligatr not threatened whatsoever by a Drill Run. Opponent is going to connect with that move, but now Feraligatr can fire off this Hydro Cannon, and Hydro Cannon will just do way too much damage. Dunsparce barely hanging on. There's the combo play with the Clodsire. The opponent top left in the match before the Sludge Bomb lands, and that will be game over. Hopping into the next match, Clodsire into Morpeko, a very good lead. Opponent save switches into a Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales, and Ninetales will swiftly be answered with Feraligatr. Overall, this team is ABA strong into Morpeko, so even losing Switch would not be terrible for Smudgy here. They farm to a ton of energy. Smudgy calls the bait, absolute savage read there. And this next Weather Ball I don't think will quite KO either. The Ninetales gets the Feraligatr low, but this is why Feraligatr is so strong. Able to hang on, force both shields from the opponent. And if you've just given up both your shields and your opponent has a Primeape, you kind of just lose. Because we know from when Annihilape was top meta, Ghost fighting coverage is incredibly strong. Opponent, they're able to land the Weather Ball, but they're getting KO'd by the Sludge Bomb, and now they're going to have to deal with a 2-0 shield Primeape. It's Wall Rain in the back, and this game is so over. In comes Morpeko, and Smudgy's actually going to make a very wise play. Instead of going for a close combat and then dramatically debuffing his defense, he can just go for the Rage Fist. Rage Fist is going to boost up his attack. He now gets to Karate Chop down, leave with a boosted close combat. Opponent wants none of that smoke, and they will resign the match. Picking up a Nightmare lead in the next match, Clodsire into the Golurk. The Feraligatr save switch unanswered. The opponent doesn't have a response to an up energy Feraligatr. They're forced to stay in. They are forced to give up a shield as well. My guess is we'll see a switch out now that they've played the ones, and there it is. That's why they couldn't switch out, as Azumarill does lose to 2s versus Feraligatr. Feraligatr going to start spamming out these Hydro Cannons. Hydro Cannon going to land. Azumarill is going to deny that energy, but considering there's a Primeape in the back, baiting out the Fairy type is honestly very good news. So in comes the Clodsire. Clodsire more than happy to absorb whatever energy Azumarill gets to, but first it's going to fire off the Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb into the Azumarill. Azumarill barely hangs on, but it will get farmed down after. Back in comes the Golurk, but the Golurk took a lot of damage. Building up to the Earthquake, baiting with the Sludge Bomb here. Does the opponent call the bait? They do. There's a switch. It's a Alolan Sandslash in the back. And this poor Sandslash is about to get completely destroyed. Rage Fist from the Primeape. I didn't mention it already, but like the purple cloud that surrounds it when the Rage Fist animation happens, very cool. And that's just a boosted Primeape farming all the way down. And this team, my goodness, opponents top lefting all over the place. We see a very familiar Pokemon in the next match, leading into an Azumarill. Opponent safe switches to Shadow Drapion. Drapion answered with the Primeape. Aqua Tail does a ton of damage, and that's the thing about Primeape. Primeape, it's a very powerful Pokemon, but it's very, very glassy. It is not going to take a lot of hits. So Primeape is going to look to force either both shields or switch advantage. Opponent is going to let that through, and down goes Drapion. Back in comes Azumarill. Primeape now going to fire off the Rage Fist. Rage Fist is going to connect. Not doing a ton of damage, but it's so fast to get to that it gets to another Rage Fist. And now this Azumarill is rapidly approaching Sludge Bomb range. Azumarill will fire off the Ice Beam, but for Clodsire, that's not a problem whatsoever. Ice Beam, very survivable, and Clodsire will immediately return fire with the hard-hitting Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb into the Azumarill. Azumarill is going to let that through. They have Altaria in the back. Talk about a blast from the past here. Altaria, not a Pokemon I was expecting to see. Opponent lets the Sludge Bomb through. Oh my goodness, another Sludge Bomb reached as well. Altaria just so slow to charge moves now. And can they even get a farm down here? Looks like the answer is no. They can't get the farm down. They're forced to throw energy. And now the Shadow Feraligatr can just completely clean up this game. Opponent, after the Shadow Claws, they're basically going to be in Hydro range. Opponent tries for the catch. And Smudgy's not going to let that happen. Instead, he's just going to unleash Hydro Cannon after Hydro Cannon at the Altaria. Altaria lets it go, but they're just getting Shadow Clawed all the way down. I believe Smudgy mentioned that he went 5-0, 3-2, 4-1 and got to within 9 points of Expert after starting at 2600. So this team and Primeape are an absolute force to be reckoned with. Tough lead in the next match, leading Clodsire into the Gastrodon. We see the perfect safe switch into Feraligatr and throwing of the Hydro Cannon right away. The Hydro Cannon landing means that Smudgy can guaranteed win switch advantage in this matchup, because after the Hydro lands, Gastrodon just gets farmed down. Opponent knows this. They're forced to switch out. They're going to send in Drapion. Drapion would take massive damage from the Hydro, so the opponent will actually invest a shield. And now you can bring in the Clodsire. The goal of the Clodsire with this team not only is it to beat the fairies, but it's to be a damage sponge. Tank the hits that Primeape doesn't want to tank, because Primeape, even though he got a very high rank, is still going to be very, very frail. Aqua Tail after Aqua Tail going to be fired by the Drapion, but that is very okay. This is where you would rather take the damage. So Clodsire, again, more than happy to let this through and look to try and pick up a knockout with an Earthquake. A nice overfarm there as well. Opponent only has one shield left. They will not use it here. In the back, we'll have to see what it is. They're staying in with the Gastrodon. That's a good sign. A lot of people run Mudslappers with Ice. This could be a Dugong here, and they're just going to stay in. Oh, they're weak. What is it? It's a Sandslash, and this game is over. He's just going to go for the Rage Fist. Let's buff up the damage from the Primeape here, and this poor Sandslash just getting absolutely melted. They pick up the KO with the Ice Punch, but in comes Clodsire, and Clodsire poisons things down the Sandslash and takes the win. Clodsire versus Azumarill. A lot of people running Azumarill in this Elo range. Oh my goodness. It is Azumarill City. Whether it's on the lead or as a safe swap, this thing is everywhere. Sludge Bomb, of course, is going to land. Opponent is going to overfarm a massive amount. They're farming up just shy of 100, and they're going to unleash some damage. Ice Beam is going to connect. We're going to see a safe switch into Dunsparce. Dunsparce will be immediately met with an Earthquake, and then we should see the switch out to the Primeape. Primeape will take a lot of damage from Joran. Joran is survivable, but this is a good opportunity to demonstrate the bulk, and this thing does not have a lot of bulk. We see a perfect overfarm there, 4 in the move, because Dunsparce was on its 3 cycle. Close combat is going to KO. Are we going to see the Azumarill return, or will the opponent send in their third here? They're going to bring in the third, and it's going to be Talonflame. Talonflame now going to be hit with the Rage Fist. Rage Fist will connect. Primeape gets another Rage Fist, but the Incinerate damage KOs right before it's able to click the move. Feraligatr farming up quite a bit of energy. That animation from the Talonflame looked very, very odd. It looked like, unfortunately, Smudgy did lag a turn as he brought in the Feraligatr. Feraligatr firing off the Hydro Cannon. That's going to be shielded up. We see a switch out into Azumarill. And I think at this point, you're pretty happy just to let this through. It is only going to be an Ice Beam. And Feraligatr Feraligatr is not worried about Ice Beams whatsoever. So Feraligatr will fire off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon will pick up the knockout. Back in comes the Talonflame. Talonflame going to force to give up the final shield here as the Hydro Cannon would easily KO. We're going to see a 2 and a switch out here. And, I mean, you honestly don't even have to shield this. And he's not going to. Oh, my goodness. I was going to say if you wanted to have some bad manners, you could just let that go and win with the Feraligatr. That's exactly what he's going to do. You absolutely love to see it. Talonflame getting farmed down. And that game ends in a win as well. Clodsire into Venusaur in the next game. And with this backline, you're very happy to catch the Venusaur on the lead. Venusaur overfarms, trying to go for the CMP tie, but Smudgy is going to overfarm himself as well. The Frenzy is going to land. In comes Goodra. This team doesn't have a great response to a Goodra save switch, so just going to soften it up with a Sludge Bomb and now bring in the Primeape. Primeape just cannot get to the Rage Fist. They're barely outpaced by the Goodra. Goodra firing off the Aqua Tail. Smudgy says, I may as well start ramping up my damage, firing off the Rage Fist. Rage Fist, of course, not going to do a lot of damage, but it's all about the increased damage that it gets after the boost. Because now this Rage Fist suddenly feels a lot more threatening to the Venusaur. Venusaur does decide to commit the shield. It gets to it every 4, so the opponent can only throw 3 Vine Whips in the move. If they overfarm anymore, they're getting hit with a +2 Rage Fist. Back in comes the Clodsire. Clodsire looking to deal some devastating damage here with an Earthquake. Earthquake into the Venusaur is going to land, and Clodsire gets the farm down. In the back is Greninja, and this could actually be a losing endgame, as Greninja does very, very well into Feraligatr. Night Slash does so much damage, my goodness. And I think, unfortunately, this is going to be a rare game where Smudgy is not able to win. Hold on, though. Maybe there is a chance. This is going to be very tough. It's going to come down to fast move pressure here. Clodsire versus Greninja, and the Greninja lives on 1 HP. Oh my goodness, heartbreak there. So close to a win, but the opponent apparently had the rank 0 Greninja. All right. What do you know? Death, Taxes, and Azumarill lead. The 3 constants in life, apparently. Clodsire into Azumarill yet again. Sludge Bomb lands. This Azumarill not as high rank as the other ones we've seen. As we saw, this Sludge Bomb actually did put it into the yellow health. So the opponent is going to fire off an Ice Beam in retaliation, but this is a pacing game they can't hope to win. Sludge Bomb shielded up, and honestly, shielding here isn't bad. Honestly, could let this go and farm with the Feraligatr as well. But either way, I mean, this should hopefully just set up Primeape to be in the 1s. Primeape is at its scariest in the 1 shield. It has an insane win rate in the 1s. Opponent now going to bring in Dugong. Dugong will be hit with a Sludge Bomb, and Sludge Bomb will add a little bit of damage, and down goes Clodsire. In comes Primeape. Primeape going to immediately be met with an Icy Wind. Icy Wind will do quite a bit of damage here. We will see a no shield from the Primeape. Primeape looking to farm up, and now just going straight for the close combat here, saying, give me the shield or give me the knockout. Down goes Dugong. In the back is Dunsparce. This is a heavily debuffed Primeape, though. I don't really think you want to concede the farm down here. So after this, yeah, I do actually like this switch out quite a bit. As now you've reset the debuff, it's going to be a lot harder to roll out farm down. Opponent fires off the Drill Run that does quite a bit of damage, but they don't have the back-to-back. That gives Feraligatr the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon is going to get this Dunsparce pretty close to the red health, and you could shield the Feraligatr, or you could go for the win with the Primeape. You absolutely love to see it. Primeape now throwing a double resisted Rage Fist at the Dunsparce. And it looks like the opponent may have just force closed the app. They didn't want to see what was going to happen. It doesn't KO because it's double resisted, but the game's over anyway. Hopping into the next match, Clodsire versus Dunsparce, the battle of the tanks. While Dunsparce does have access to super effective Drill Run, this matchup is honestly fine for the Clodsire, because 2 Drill Runs do not KO, and since Rollout is resisted, there's never really a threat of Dunsparce farming down. So as the Clodsire, this is perfectly fine to stay in. The opponent gives up an early shield. That is very, very nice, as again, Primeape, due to how glassy it is really going to struggle in the 2 shield. Most things that have decent fast move pressure are going to be able to just straight up farm through Primeape. However, if you get Primeape in the 1s or with an energy lead, that's when things get very scary. It is a terrifying sweeper, as we've seen quite a few times in these battles. They just took Night Slash, the move it already had, gave it a better offensive typing and a guaranteed boost. Like, this thing is unbelievable. Opponent now going to send in a Spark Lantern. A Spark Lantern in Season 20. Speaking of things that are unbelievable, firing off the close combat. That does massive damage, rocking the Lantern. Lantern, honestly, I don't hate the shield here from Primeape, just because the Lantern would be a real pain for the Feraligatr to deal with. Now going to go for the Rage Fist. Rage Fist gets it low. There's the Snipe, 2 Shadow Claws from the Feraligatr. And the opponent going to bring in Dunsparce. It looked like that may have been a CMP tie here with the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon will pick up the knockout. In the back is Drifblim. Drifblim does actually beat Feraligatr in the 2 shield. Drifblim is a very scary Pokemon, but this is the ones. And that means that Feraligatr, especially after they throw, I was going to say Feraligatr should live 2 Astonishes anyway, but since they throw, now it's guaranteed. So Feraligatr very comfortably makes the Hydro. Hydro will be able to knock out the Drifblim, and that is a good game. All in all, this community day is going to flip the Open Great League meta on its head. Primeape and Annihilape are both going to be terrific meta options. Annihilape, of course, has the significantly better typing, as Annihilape is going to be the fighting ghost type, but Annihilape does have its drawback. Counter, its fast move, is not great. Whereas Primeape has the worst typing, being a fighter, but it does have the way better fast move with Karate Chop. So that's some of the give and take between these 2 Pokemon. They're both going to be amazing. Primeape, of course, is a lot more attack focused, whereas Annihilape has more balanced stats overall. So I think no matter which one you end up evolving during the community day, or if you happen to save some shadows that have Frustration TM'd away, getting a couple of each with the move will be very, very helpful, because the Open Great League meta is going to go through some drastic changes. We've seen the Open Great League meta evolve after this awesome move update. From September through November, we've seen a lot of cores rise and fall, but this is a big shift to the meta. This is going to take some time for people to figure out what all is strong, but I think I can say with some pretty strong certainty that Primeape is one of those Pokemon. It's very, very strong, and the ability to boost up with Rage Fist makes this thing even scarier as a sweeper. And I'm very excited once my own community day happens, which at the time of recording will be in about 14 hours. It's a bit past midnight in my time zone. So obviously Smudgy in New Zealand gets the community day well before the rest of the world. I'm going to be trying out Shadow Annihilape. I'm very excited for that. That video should hopefully drop like early to mid-evening NA time. So a couple hours after my com day finishes. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.